History is filled with mysteries, but some discoveries are so strange, so out of place, that even the best experts struggle to explain them. These are not small anomalies, but massive puzzles carved in stone, buried in ruins, or hidden beneath the earth. Discoveries that challenge everything we think we know about our past. Were ancient civilizations far more advanced than we give them credit for? Did they possess knowledge that was later lost, or perhaps taught by forces we still cannot comprehend? Today, we dive into 6 ancient discoveries that experts still refuse to explain, starting with one of the most famous and unsettling mysteries ever unearthed. The Great Pyramids of Giza. Impossible precision. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as one of the most iconic monuments in human history, yet it is also one of the most baffling. Built over 400–500 years ago, it is the last surviving wonder of the ancient world. But what makes it truly mysterious is not just its age or size. It is the precision, the design, and the unanswered question of how it was constructed. The Great Pyramid originally stood at 481 feet tall, built with over 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing several tons. Some of the largest granite blocks, used in the King's Chamber, weigh up to 80 tons and were transported from Aswan, located more than 500 miles away. How were these colossal stones moved without advanced machinery? Mainstream theories suggest sledges, ropes, and manpower, but even today, engineers admit it would be nearly impossible to replicate such a feat with the same level of accuracy. The alignment of the pyramid adds another layer of mystery. Its sides are almost perfectly aligned with the cardinal points of the compass: north, south, east, and west, with an error of less than 1 degree. Modern surveyors, armed with GPS and advanced instruments, struggle to achieve this level of accuracy. Yet somehow ancient builders achieved it thousands of years ago with tools made of copper and stone. Then there is the foundation. The base of the Great Pyramid is level to within just a fraction of an inch, an achievement nearly impossible on such a massive scale. The entire structure is also positioned precisely on the geographical center of Earth's landmass. Coincidence? Or did the builders possess knowledge of Earth's geography far beyond their supposed capabilities? Even inside the pyramid, the mysteries deepen. The King's Chamber contains a massive granite box, often referred to as a sarcophagus, but no body was ever found inside. Its exact purpose remains debated. Some suggest it was a tomb, while others believe the pyramid served as something more: a power plant, a monument encoding astronomical knowledge, or even a structure designed to resonate with Earth's natural frequencies. What troubles historians most is not simply the pyramid itself, but the lack of evidence showing how it was built. Ancient Egyptian texts detail many aspects of their civilization: their gods, their kings, their wars. But they do not describe the construction of the pyramids in any meaningful detail. For a project that would have required decades of planning and an entire nation's workforce, the silence is staggering. The Great Pyramid remains an unsolved riddle. Was it the achievement of extraordinary human ingenuity, or does it hint at knowledge long lost, or perhaps never ours to begin with? Even after centuries of study, experts still refuse to give a definitive answer, leaving the pyramid as one of history's greatest unexplained discoveries. The Nazca Lines, messages to the gods or to the stars. Stretching across the arid desert plains of southern Peru lies one of the most enigmatic creations of the ancient world, the Nazca Lines. Covering an area of nearly 1,000 square kilometers, these massive geoglyphs consist of hundreds of giant designs. Straight lines, geometric shapes, animals, plants, and even humanoid figures, etched into the desert floor more than 500 years ago. They are so immense that most of them cannot be fully appreciated from the ground. From the desert floor, they look like random grooves in the soil, But from the air, they reveal breathtaking images of hummingbirds, monkeys, spiders, and intricate patterns stretching for miles. The mystery begins with their scale. Some of the straight lines extend over 20 kilometers, perfectly straight across rugged terrain. How could an ancient culture, without modern surveying tools or the ability to fly, design and execute such colossal artwork with near-perfect proportions? Archaeologists argue that the Nazca people used ropes, stakes, and careful measurements to create the figures. But even with that explanation, the scale is almost incomprehensible. Why invest so much effort into something that could only be truly appreciated from the sky? That question has fueled some of the most fascinating theories in archaeology. Some suggest the Nazca lines were religious offerings meant to be seen by gods looking down from the heavens. Others believe they were ritual pathways walked during ceremonies to honor deities associated with water and fertility. The desert where they were built is one of the driest places on Earth, so the idea that they were linked to prayers for rain is plausible. But there are theories that push far beyond the conventional. Ancient astronaut enthusiasts argue that the lines resemble landing strips pointing to the long, straight runways carved into the desert. To them, the Nazca people may have created these designs to signal or communicate with visitors from the stars. Skeptics dismiss this as fantasy, but the sheer mystery of the lines leaves room for speculation. Adding to the enigma is the durability of the geoglyphs. The Nazca Desert is so dry and windless that the lines have remained virtually intact for more than a millennium. But maintaining such vast creations still would have required coordination and purpose. Were they astronomical calendars mapping the movement of celestial bodies? Some studies suggest alignments with solstices and star patterns, reinforcing the idea that they had cosmic significance. Despite decades of study, no one knows for sure. The Nazca people left no written records to explain their purpose. What we have are the silent lines themselves, stretching endlessly across the barren landscape, daring us to interpret them. Are they prayers written on Earth's canvas, messages to the gods, or perhaps to something beyond? Even today, experts refuse to give one definitive explanation, and the Nazca lines remain one of humanity's most extraordinary unsolved mysteries. The Baghdad Battery, electricity in the ancient world. In 1938, an archaeologist working near Baghdad uncovered a small clay jar, just 13 centimeters tall. At first glance it looked ordinary, but inside the jar was a copper cylinder capped with an iron rod. To the untrained eye, it was unremarkable. To scientists, however, it became one of the most baffling discoveries of the 20th century. This simple jar may represent the world's first battery. Created more than 2,000 years ago, known today as the Baghdad Battery, the artifact has puzzled experts ever since. When reconstructed and filled with an acidic liquid like vinegar or lemon juice, the jar generates a small but measurable electric current. The design mimics the principles of modern galvanic cells, the very foundations of batteries. Yet this artifact predates the official invention of electricity by nearly 2 millennia. How could an ancient civilization possess such knowledge? Mainstream archaeologists argue that the Baghdad Battery may not have been a battery at all. Some believe it was used for storing sacred scrolls, while others think it was part of a simple ritual container. But experiments repeatedly show that it can function as a primitive battery, and that raises unsettling questions. If ancient Mesopotamians understood electricity, how did they use it? Some researchers suggest the battery could have been used in medicine, delivering mild electric shocks for therapeutic purposes. Others argue it may have been used for electroplating, applying thin layers of gold or silver onto objects. The fact that some ancient artifacts appear coated with unusually fine layers of precious metals fuels this theory. If true, It means ancient artisans may have been using technology thousands of years ahead of their time. Yet skeptics point out the lack of supporting evidence. If the Baghdad battery was common technology, why have so few examples been found? Why are there no written records describing its use? Was it an isolated invention, forgotten by history, or part of a broader technological knowledge that has since been lost? The discovery has also inspired more speculative theories. Could ancient civilizations have been influenced by knowledge passed down from an even older, advanced culture, or perhaps by contact with visitors from elsewhere? Such ideas remain controversial, but they highlight just how little we truly know about our ancestors' capabilities. What makes the Baghdad battery so mysterious is not just its potential function, but its context. The jar was created during the Parthian or Sasanian periods, when no written evidence suggests an understanding of electricity. To find a working battery in that era feels like finding a smartphone in a medieval castle. It does not belong. It should not exist. And yet, it does. To this day, the Baghdad battery remains an unsolved riddle. Some see it as proof that human history is far more complex than our textbooks suggest. Others dismiss it as coincidence, a simple jar misinterpreted. But whether it was an ancient power source, a tool for electroplating, or something even more mysterious, one thing is certain: it is a discovery that refuses to be explained. A spark from the past that challenges everything we think we know about the march of human progress. Göbekli Tepe, the world's first temple that should not exist in southeastern Turkey, on a windswept hill near the city of Şanlıurfa, lies an archaeological site that has been called the most important discovery of the 21st century. Göbekli Tepe, often described as the world's first temple, has shattered everything historians thought they knew about the origins of human civilization. Its towering stone pillars, arranged in massive circular enclosures, date back to 9600 BCE, thousands of years before Stonehenge, thousands of years before the pyramids, and long before agriculture was even believed to exist. What makes Göbekli Tepe such a mystery is not only its age but also its sophistication. The site features enormous T-shaped limestone pillars, some weighing more than 20 tons. Many are carved with intricate reliefs of animals, lions, snakes, boars, vultures, and other creatures that seem to symbolize a forgotten cosmology. These stones were not randomly placed. They were arranged in complex circular patterns, some of which appear to align with celestial events. The site shows clear planning, architecture, and artistry that far exceed what we believed hunter-gatherers were capable of. That is where the problem begins. Göbekli Tepe was built at a time when humans were supposed to be small, nomadic groups, surviving through hunting and gathering. According to conventional history, large-scale construction required agriculture, permanent settlements, and organized labor. Yet Göbekli Tepe predates farming by thousands of years. How could hunter-gatherers, without farming or permanent villages, build such a monumental site? Mainstream archaeologists now argue that Göbekli Tepe forces us to rethink the timeline. Instead of agriculture leading to religion and social complexity, perhaps it was religion, the drive to gather and build sacred monuments, that led to agriculture. The idea that humans came together first to build temples and only later to farm has turned history upside down. But even with this new perspective, huge questions remain unanswered. Why would nomadic people carve and transport stones weighing tens of tons without wheels, metal tools, or draft animals? How did they achieve such precise alignments with the stars? Why do the carvings depict animals not commonly associated with daily survival, but instead appear symbolic or mythological? Some researchers believe Göbekli Tepe was a sacred site, perhaps a sanctuary where scattered groups came together seasonally to worship, perform rituals, or honor ancestors. Others argue it may have been a kind of observatory, recording astronomical cycles. Still, None of these theories explain how such immense effort could be sustained by people supposedly living without farming or centralized leadership. Then comes an even stranger mystery: Göbekli Tepe was deliberately buried. Around 8000 BCE, the people who built it covered the entire site with tons of earth and debris. Why? Was it to protect the structures, or to close a chapter of history too powerful or dangerous to leave exposed? This intentional burial preserved the site remarkably well, allowing modern archaeologists to uncover its secrets thousands of years later. But the motivation behind this act is still unknown. Some fringe theories go further, suggesting that Göbekli Tepe represents knowledge from a forgotten civilization, a culture that existed before the end of the last ice age, perhaps destroyed in a cataclysm and remembered only through myth. To these theorists, Göbekli Tepe is evidence that advanced societies existed long before conventional history allows. Mainstream or alternative, one thing is clear: Göbekli Tepe does not fit neatly into the story of human progress. It is too early, too advanced, and too mysterious. Even after decades of study, experts cannot explain how it was built, why it was built, or why it was buried. And so, Göbekli Tepe stands as a silent reminder that our ancestors were far more complex, and perhaps more advanced, than we dare to imagine. The Antikythera mechanism, an ancient computer out of time in 1901, sponge divers exploring the waters off the Greek island of Antikythera stumbled upon the wreck of an ancient ship. Among the treasures of bronze and marble statues, jewelry, and pottery, they found a corroded lump of bronze and wood. At first, it looked like nothing more than debris. But decades of study revealed it to be one of the most extraordinary artifacts ever discovered. The Antikythera mechanism. Often called the world's first computer, this device dates back to around 100 BCE. When reconstructed, it was revealed to be a complex system of gears, dials, and wheels capable of predicting astronomical positions and eclipses with incredible precision. It could even track the cycles of the Olympic Games. In other words, it was a mechanical computer created over 2,000 years ago, centuries before similar technology appeared again in human history. The mechanism consists of more than 30 intricate bronze gears housed in a wooden box about the size of a shoebox. Using a hand crank, the user could rotate the gears to display the positions of the sun, moon, and planets. It also tracked lunar phases and could predict eclipses decades into the future. Inscriptions on the device show detailed instructions, suggesting it was both functional and educational. The mystery is not that the Greeks were skilled in mathematics and astronomy. We know they were. The mystery is the technology itself. Nothing else like the Antikythera mechanism existed in the ancient world. The level of precision in its gears, with teeth cut so finely they rival clockwork created 500 years later, seemed impossible for its time. Historians long assumed such technology did not appear until the medieval era. Yet here it was, in a shipwreck from antiquity, functioning like a 19th-century pocket watch. How did ancient craftsmen achieve this? Some argue it was the work of a genius inventor, perhaps inspired by the teachings of Archimedes. But if such technology existed, why have no other examples been found? Was it a rare masterpiece, lost and forgotten, or evidence of a wider knowledge that has disappeared from history? Adding to the mystery, the shipwreck contained luxury goods from across the Mediterranean, suggesting the mechanism may have been bound for a wealthy patron or a center of learning. Was it a teaching tool, a navigation aid, or even a ceremonial device symbolizing human mastery over the cosmos? No one knows for sure. X-ray scans and modern reconstructions have shown the mechanism's staggering accuracy. It could predict solar and lunar eclipses with precision rivaling modern astronomical software. It could track the irregular orbit of the moon, something that required deep understanding of celestial mechanics. This knowledge should not have been available until the Renaissance, yet it existed in a bronze box centuries earlier. Some researchers believe the Antikythera mechanism represents the pinnacle of a forgotten branch of Greek engineering, a tradition of mechanical knowledge that was lost during the collapse of the ancient world. Others suggest the artifact hints at contact with knowledge far older, perhaps passed down from earlier civilizations whose achievements were erased by time. The greatest puzzle is why only one Antikythera mechanism has ever been found. If such devices existed, why are there no others in museums or ruins? Were they rare treasures destroyed in wars and conquests, or was this the only one of its kind? The lack of additional examples makes it one of history's strangest outliers. Today, replicas of the mechanism work flawlessly, proving it was not an accident or a misunderstanding. It truly was a mechanical computer centuries ahead of its time, and that is why experts still cannot fully explain it. It should not exist in that era, and yet it does. A machine out of time, whispering of knowledge lost and mysteries still buried in the past. The stone spheres of Costa Rica, messages carved in perfection, hidden deep within the jungles of Costa Rica, lie hundreds of giant stone spheres, some small enough to carry in your arms, others weighing more than 15 tons. Scattered across fields, riverbeds, and ancient settlements, these mysterious orbs are nearly perfect in their shape, so precise that modern experts still debate how they were carved. Known locally as Las Bolas, the spheres were created by the Dikis culture between 500 and 1500 CE. Yet to this day no one knows their exact purpose. The mystery begins with their craftsmanship. The spheres are made from solid granodiorite and gabbro, extremely hard stones that would have been incredibly difficult to shape with the tools available at the time. The Dikis had no iron or steel. Their tools were made of stone, bone, or wood. Yet the surfaces of the spheres are polished smooth, with symmetry so exact it rivals machine work. Many of the largest spheres measure within millimeters of a perfect circle. How did an ancient culture, without advanced tools, achieve such precision? Equally puzzling is their sheer number and distribution. Archaeologists have catalogued more than 300 spheres, with sizes ranging from a few inches to over 8 feet in diameter. They are often found in groups, sometimes arranged in straight lines, triangles, or geometric patterns that suggest deliberate placement. Some alignments appear to correspond to astronomical events, such as solstices or star positions. Others may have marked important ceremonial sites, trade routes, or boundaries of authority. Theories about their purpose abound. Some believe the spheres were symbols of power and prestige, representing the authority of tribal chiefs. Others suggest they were connected to rituals or cosmology, perhaps embodying the sun, the moon, or celestial perfection. There are even suggestions that the spheres were navigational markers or encoded maps guiding people across landscapes that are now obscured by jungle. What deepens the mystery is that the Dikis left no written language to explain their creations. When Spanish colonizers arrived in the 16th century, the spheres had already lost their original meaning and their cultural context was gone. Many were moved, destroyed, or broken open in the search for treasure, fueled by a legend that they contained gold. None did, and countless spheres were lost to vandalism or sold off as ornaments for gardens and parks. Even today, experts disagree about their meaning. Some archaeologists argue the spheres were purely symbolic, crafted to demonstrate the skill and dedication of the Dikis people. Others see them as a form of communication, a language written not in words, but in geometry and alignment. The fact that so many are still buried, hidden under soil or vegetation, suggests there may be patterns we have yet to uncover. Fringe theorists take the mystery further. They point out the sphere's extraordinary precision and claim it indicates knowledge passed down from a lost civilization or even contact with advanced beings. To them, the orbs are not just artifacts but messages, markers left behind for reasons we cannot yet understand. The stone spheres of Costa Rica are now protected as UNESCO World Heritage Sites, but they remain an enigma. They defy simple explanation, sitting silently in fields and forests, perfect in form but mute in meaning. Were they symbols of power, astronomical tools, spiritual representations of the cosmos, or something more mysterious entirely? What is certain is that these ancient artifacts remind us of the limits of our knowledge. They show that human history is not a straight line of progress, but a tapestry full of forgotten achievements and unanswered questions. The spheres endure, as flawless and silent as the day they were carved. A riddle in stone that experts still refuse to explain. The shadows of forgotten knowledge. History is supposed to be a story we understand. A timeline of progress from simple tools to advanced technology, from scattered tribes to global civilization. Yet, the discoveries we have explored shatter that comforting narrative. The Great Pyramid's impossible precision, the Nazca lines stretching endlessly across the desert, the Baghdad battery sparking with forgotten power, Göbekli Tepe rising before farming itself, the Antikythera mechanism ticking like a computer out of time, and the stone spheres of Costa Rica carved into perfection. All of them whisper the same unsettling truth. We do not know nearly as much about our past as we think. These are not minor footnotes, not mistakes to be explained away. They are massive, deliberate creations, monuments of stone, feats of engineering, and works of genius that stand stubbornly against conventional history. And perhaps the most disturbing thing is not that they exist, but that experts still cannot explain them. Every theory raises new questions. Every discovery widens the gap between what we know and what we thought we knew. Some of these mysteries may eventually find answers within the framework of human ingenuity. Perhaps forgotten techniques, now lost to time, allowed ancient peoples to move massive stones, carve flawless spheres, and create mechanical wonders. But even if that is true, we must ask, how much knowledge has been erased, buried beneath soil and sand, and wiped away by wars, disasters, and the slow erosion of time? How many entire chapters of human history have we lost forever? There is another possibility, one that makes historians uncomfortable. What if our ancestors were not working alone? What if they inherited fragments of knowledge from a source we no longer recognize? A forgotten civilization destroyed by cataclysm, or perhaps something even more extraordinary. These are questions few experts dare to consider, yet the artifacts remain, silent and unyielding, demanding explanations we do not yet have. What unites all these discoveries is their defiance of time. They should not exist in the eras they belong to, and yet they do. They remain as evidence that history is not a simple, linear story but a vast and tangled puzzle.